The courtroom was silent until Gwen Brown took the stand. And what happened next, no one could have predicted. With her voice shaking but her words sharp as a knife, Gwen exploded, tearing through the facade her father Kody Brown and his favorite wife Robyn have so carefully built. The gloves are off, the secrets are spilling, and this isn't just family drama anymore. It's a legal war over betrayal, broken promises, and a shocking $25,000 that's now at the center of a storm, tearing the Brown family apart. We all watched Sister Wives for years. We saw the smiles, the family meetings, the constant struggle to make it work. But behind the scenes, there was manipulation. There were lies. And now Gwen isn't staying silent anymore. In brand new jaw-dropping court documents that have just surfaced, Gwen details a massive financial betrayal, one that traces back to none other than Kody and Robyn Brown. What was supposed to be her share of a family trust fund was allegedly diverted, used, hidden. Some say stolen. The figure $25,000. Gone. And Gwen, she wants answers and justice. Inside that courtroom, Gwen's testimony sent shockwaves. With her legal team backing her up and with receipts in hand, she's calling out Kody for what she calls financial gaslighting, using emotional control to justify financial exclusion. And Robyn Sheh's not off the hook either. Gwen claims Robyn actively participated in shielding the money and keeping other family members, including Gwen's own siblings, in the dark. For years, rumors swirled about Kody's favoritism toward Robyn. But now there are legal consequences. This isn't just about being left out of a family vacation or feeling emotionally abandoned. This is about property deeds, tax filings, deposits, withdrawals. Court documents reference suspicious transactions, bank transfers, traced back to Robyn's LLC, and timelines that line up a little too perfectly with the launch of their now silent online boutique. Coincidence? Gwen's lawyers don't think so. And here's where things get explosive. In a leaked phone recording, Gwen can be heard confronting Kody, her voice firm, her accusations clear. She asks point blank, "Where is the money you promised us?" Kody's response mumbled, defensive, evading. The same man who once prided himself on leading a united family now stands at the center of a fractured legal firestorm, his daughter on one side, his favored wife on the other, and the truth dangling somewhere in between. This isn't just a family falling apart. This is a high-stakes legal standoff filled with betrayal, manipulation, and a young woman finally taking her power back after being silenced for far too long. Stay with us because in this video we're breaking down everything from the court filings to the public reaction from the $125K question to what this could mean for the future of Sister Wives as we know it. This isn't drama, it's a reckoning. The courtroom was packed, journalists clutching notepads, fans of Sister Wives whispering in disbelief, and behind it all the sound of tension so thick it could snap like a twig. When Gwen Brown walked in, she didn't look like a reality TV daughter anymore. She looked like a woman with purpose, someone who had finally had enough. And that purpose was about to rattle the very foundation of the Brown family's carefully constructed empire. Gwen Brown, daughter of Kody Brown and Christine Brown, was once seen as the quiet one, the overlooked one, a background character in a sprawling polygamist drama dominated by Kody's bombastic presence and Robyn's polarizing rise to favorite wife status. But no more. Gwen is front and center now, not in the pages of a tabloid or in a confessional on TLC, but in a courtroom with legal representation, sworn affidavits, and receipts. It all began months ago when Gwen publicly hinted via Patreon and Instagram that money had gone missing. Fans assumed it was just more family fallout, perhaps a dispute over college tuition or inheritance mismanagement. But what few knew at the time was that Gwen had already hired a lawyer. She had already pulled financial records. And she had already filed paperwork to pursue what her legal team now calls intentional financial misrepresentation and concealment. According to her testimony, a trust fund set up years ago when the Brown family was still operating as a unified household was meant to provide for the children of all four original wives, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn. Each mother had contributed, but over time, Gwen's attorneys allege that control of the account shifted quietly and without proper documentation to Kody and Robyn. Now here's where it gets deeply unsettling. Gwen claims that when she turned 18, she inquired about accessing her share of the trust. Instead of receiving clear answers, she says she was stonewalled first by Kody, then by Robyn. They allegedly told her that things were complicated, that the money was being reallocated for family needs, and most chilling of all, that she didn't understand how adult finances worked. But Gwen did understand, and she started digging. What she found was a paper trail that stunned even seasoned legal analysts. Over the course of several years, Gwen's attorneys discovered a series of wire transfers totaling over $25,000 funds that were allegedly earmarked for Gwen, her siblings, and other Brown family children. Instead, those funds were rerouted to an LLC tied directly to Robyn, registered in Arizona, and allegedly created to manage the boutique she and Kody briefly launched after the show's early success. The boutique, which never took off publicly and is now defunct, appears to have served as a shell absorbing funds from the trust under the guise of family investments. And here's the kicker. Gwen says she had no idea this boutique even existed until she found it in a 2022 tax filing. Inside the courtroom, Gwen's lawyers laid it all out: dates, transactions, corporate documents, and bank statements. Each page painted a picture of intentional diversion money meant for Gwen being absorbed into what appears to be a Robyn and Kody-controlled financial funnel. And as this unfolded, Kody sat motionless, his face tight with discomfort. Robyn, normally poised in public, reportedly looked flustered, even tearful at times. But Gwen was composed. Her voice didn't shake. Her words were sharp-pointed and backed with evidence. Legal observers in the room couldn't believe what they were witnessing. This wasn't a tabloid squabble or reality TV drama. This was serious. Financial betrayal on a massive scale, and a daughter holding her own father accountable in public under oath. And while Gwen's legal team is seeking compensation, this isn't just about the money. Gwen made that clear. In her opening statement, she said this isn't revenge. It's not about drama. It's about truth. It's about not letting silence protect the people who think they're untouchable. I was raised to value honesty, and that means calling out dishonesty, even when it's your own parent. The gallery gasped. Cameras weren't allowed in the courtroom, but transcripts quickly spread across social media. Within hours, hashtags like #Justice for Gwen, #Kody Brown exposed, and #Robyn knew were trending. Even more shocking sources close to the case suggest that Gwen isn't alone. That other Brown children may soon come forward with similar claims, especially now that Gwen has paved the way. The court documents mention at least 3 unnamed parties who may have experienced parallel financial obstruction. And it doesn't, end there. In the discovery process, Gwen's lawyers subpoenaed emails, phone records, and text messages between Kody and Robyn. While those messages remain sealed for now, insiders hint they contain direct admissions that Robyn advised Kody to secure the family's future by limiting access to the trust. A chilling line if true, considering that limiting access meant cutting out his own kids. So what's next? For Gwen, it's accountability. For Kody and Robyn, it may be a public reckoning and potentially legal penalties, including restitution and breach of fiduciary duty. The Brown family spent over a decade preaching unity and transparency. But now one of their own is revealing a very different story. A story about favoritism, about deception, and most painfully of all, about a daughter who trusted her father only to realize he may have prioritized his newest marriage over his oldest responsibilities. And the public there watching every second. Outside the courtroom, the fallout was already spreading like wildfire. Fans gathered outside the courthouse with signs, some showing support for Gwen, others expressing shock and betrayal over the revelations about Kody and Robyn. Social media was ablaze. Longtime Sister Wives viewers began digging through old episodes, rewatching scenes through a new lens. That one awkward family finance discussion from season 13, suddenly suspicious. Robyn's emotional breakdown about protecting her children, now viewed with skepticism. The way Kody insisted that all the kids would be taken care of, now fans were wondering which kids was he actually talking about. The courtroom wasn't the only battleground anymore. Public opinion was turning. Fast. Inside legal circles, analysts began speculating about the implications of Gwen's case. Financial experts weighed in, highlighting that if Gwen's team could prove that money intended for her was deliberately funneled elsewhere, especially through an LLC that Robyn partially or wholly owned, this could escalate from civil mismanagement into potential fraud or breach of fiduciary duty. And because the original trust was structured for multiple children, it opened the door for a class action-style financial dispute within the family. What made this even more explosive was the timeline Gwen's legal team laid out. Court documents detailed how around the time Christine left Kody, right as the family began splitting apart, certain funds from the trust were rapidly withdrawn, repurposed into the boutique venture, and logged as business expenses. But as Gwen's attorney pointed out, no real business ever existed. Receipts showed thousands of dollars spent on custom website design, product sourcing, and digital marketing consulting for the boutique. The business had been pitched to the family as a joint venture, but it was only Robyn and Kody's names on the LLC registration. Gwen claims she was told she'd have a stake only to be completely cut out. It was a lie, she told the court. And not just to me, to all of us. More shocking still were the testimonies quietly submitted by Christine and Janelle, both former sister wives now outside Kody's inner circle. While they weren't in court physically, affidavits signed by both women were entered into the record. Christine's was especially emotional. In it, she wrote, "I trusted Kody to honor the promises we made when we built this family. That included financial transparency. But as the years went on, I saw favoritism, secrecy, and manipulation. When I left, I didn't take what was mine. I wanted peace, but Gwen deserves justice." That powerful statement struck a chord. Janelle's affidavit was more analytical, breaking down how the trust was funded through a mix of TLC earnings, book royalties, real estate sales, and merchandise income. She even included financial spreadsheets that allegedly showed how each child was supposed to receive a portion upon turning 18. "The math never added up," Janelle wrote. "I started to question things, but by then it was too late." And Robyn, in her limited courtroom remarks, she remained vague. When asked by Gwen's lawyer whether she knowingly signed off on transactions involving trust funds, she responded, "I was following what Kody said was best for the family." When pressed further, she said she didn't recall the specifics of the account activity. But Gwen's lawyer wasn't having it. In one of the most brutal moments of the hearing so far, he held up a 2021 email Robyn had sent to a financial advisor, an email in which she personally approved the transfer of $37,000 from the trust fund into her boutique's operating budget. The subject line, "Urgent reallocation request." The room went dead silent. Robyn's face reportedly fell. Kody looked away. It was the smoking gun. In that moment, the case went from circumstantial suspicion to hard proof. Gwen's attorneys emphasized, this wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't an error. It was a deliberate act of financial redirection, one that materially harmed our client. But even more damning, the financial advisor who received the email is now cooperating with Gwen's legal team. His deposition revealed that he questioned the transfer at the time, but Robyn insisted it was within the family's financial structure, and that Kody had approved everything. So now the big question becomes, did Kody manipulate the entire family's finances to serve one wife and their shared children at the expense of the rest? It's not just Gwen asking that anymore. It's viewers, legal experts, and potentially the IRS. Yes, according to a source close to the case, Gwen's team has requested a forensic audit not just of the trust fund, but also of every Brown family financial entity, including the TLC contracts, book advances, property flips, and merchandise revenue. If Kody and Robyn mingled personal and trust funds improperly or misrepresented their LLC's purpose to banks and advisors, there could be major tax implications. And yet through it all, Gwen has remained poised. She hasn't given interviews. She hasn't lashed out on social media. Instead, she's let the legal process speak for her, a strategic move that's earning her widespread respect. Journalists covering the case have praised her maturity, her professionalism, and her refusal to be baited into turning this into a media circus. But make no mistake, this story is headline news now. Major outlets are already running with it. Entertainment Tonight, People, Magazine, TMZ, Even legal podcasts have picked it up, calling it one of the most shocking reality TV-related financial disputes in years. "We've never seen anything like this," one legal analyst said. A reality TV daughter suing her famous polygamist father over alleged trust fund theft, it's unprecedented. And here's the twist. Some sources suggest that TLC knew about the financial drama behind the scenes but chose not to air it. If true, it raises serious questions about the network's role in protecting Kody and Robyn's image. Could we be looking at a situation where the network ignored warning signs to preserve its franchise? Whatever the case, the walls are closing in. Kody has yet to make a public statement. Robyn has gone radio silent. And Gwen's just getting started. As the first part of this case draws to a close, there are still many unanswered questions. One thing is clear. Gwen's courage has turned a quiet family fracture into a full-blown public legal crisis. And as more evidence emerges, it's becoming harder for Kody and Robyn to hide behind the same old narrative. The money trail is real. The betrayal is undeniable. And the consequences, they're just beginning. The courtroom had barely settled after the shocking email evidence when Gwen's legal team made another bold move. They submitted a supplemental motion to introduce video testimony, a pre-recorded clip featuring Paedon Brown, Gwen's brother, who had declined to testify in person, but agreed to share a detailed account of what he allegedly witnessed during the years leading up to the trust fund's disappearance. In the video, Paedon appeared visibly tense but direct. His words were laced with frustration and decades of pent-up resentment. "We all knew something wasn't right," he said. "Robyn always had more. Her kids got more. They had new clothes, new gadgets, better trips. Meanwhile, we were being told that things were tight, that Dad was working on balancing the budget. But it was never balanced, it was redirected. That money was meant for all of us." He paused, then added something that left everyone in the courtroom stunned. "I once overheard Robyn tell Kody it's not stealing if it stays in the family. But that's exactly what it was, stealing from your own kids." Gasps echoed in the courtroom. Gwen looked down at the table, hands clenched tightly. Her attorney nodded slowly, letting the weight of those words linger. But the drama didn't end there. As media outlets picked up the story, more members of the Brown family began issuing carefully worded statements. Mary Brown, Kody's first wife, posted a cryptic message on Instagram just hours after the email revelation. It read, "Loyalty is a beautiful thing until it blinds you. Truth doesn't hide forever." While she didn't directly mention the court case, Gwen fans immediately interpreted the message as a quiet confirmation of what many had long suspected, that Robyn and Kody had quietly consolidated power financially and emotionally within the family unit. Meanwhile, Janelle gave a brief comment to a legal podcast stating, "I support Gwen. I won't speak on the specifics, but I believe every child deserves transparency. No exceptions." It was yet another blow to Kody's already crumbling reputation. The man who once positioned himself as the wise, unifying patriarch now appeared increasingly isolated, even from those who had once defended him. And as Gwen's case continued to unfold, her legal team dropped yet another bombshell, a subpoena for bank statements and communications tied to TLC's production reimbursements. That's right, the very network that made the Browns famous was now being asked to disclose how much was paid out, who received it, and whether those funds were ever fairly distributed among the family. Legal experts were stunned. The implication was clear: if Kody and Robyn had received production bonuses or reimbursements under the guise of family expenses, but then pocketed or funneled those payments into private ventures like the boutique or real estate, this could potentially violate contractual obligations or even tax law. One former TLC producer, speaking anonymously, said, "We were told all money was split evenly among the wives." That was the show's selling point: equality, transparency, family unity. If it turns out one couple was taking more behind the scenes, TLC might have a big problem on their hands. At this point, even former network executives began weighing in, calling for a formal audit of sister wives' earnings and distributions. And if such an audit uncovers mishandling of corporate payments or undeclared bonuses, it could open the door for IRS involvement or worse. And still, Gwen remained composed. In court, she said very little beyond her prepared statements. But in a written update filed through her legal team, She made it clear this case is not about punishing my father. It's about protecting my siblings and securing the future that was promised to us. It's about integrity, accountability, and ending the cycle of silence. Her words resonated far beyond the courtroom. Fans flooded her social media with messages of support, and several prominent legal influencers began praising her approach, describing her case as a model for how to ethically and effectively confront family financial abuse. But while Gwen's case was strengthening by the day, Kody and Robyn's legal team appeared to be scrambling. In a last-minute procedural motion, they requested a delay in proceedings, citing the need for additional documentation and time to prepare a defense. Some insiders believe this was a stall tactic, an effort to buy time and possibly negotiate a private settlement to avoid further public embarrassment. But Gwen's team wasn't budging. They submitted a counter-motion insisting that delays only further jeopardize financial clarity, especially as tax deadlines, business filings, and public interest continue to escalate. And that brings us to one of the most controversial elements of the case so far, the boutique transaction ledger. This 60-page document, introduced by Gwen's team and independently verified by forensic accountants, outlines every expense filed under the boutique LLC, from initial launch to its quiet closure. What began as whispers behind closed doors has now erupted into a full-blown legal and emotional reckoning that no one, least of all Kody and Robyn Brown, can ignore. Gwen Brown's courage to speak up, armed with hard evidence and an unwavering sense of justice, has completely upended the narrative the public was sold for over a decade. This is no longer just about hurt feelings, family estrangement, or sibling rivalry. It's about accountability, financial transparency, and the very real consequences of manipulation masked as leadership. Gwen's lawsuit has cracked open a vault of secrets long buried beneath polished confessionals and carefully edited TLC episodes. We now know about the trust fund discrepancies, the boutique shell business, and the LLCs created without family-wide knowledge. We've seen emails, receipts, and shocking statements that suggest Robyn and Kody quietly consolidated power while the other children and wives were kept in the dark. But beyond the court filings, something far more powerful is happening. Gwen has triggered a cultural shift not just within her family, but among fans, content creators, and people across the world who've lived through similar betrayals. She's sparked a conversation about emotional abuse, about financial gaslighting, and about what happens when the truth is buried beneath a carefully marketed public image. As this legal battle moves forward, Kody and Robyn face more than just potential court losses. Their reputations are on the line, their credibility is crumbling, and their image as the wise patriarch and loyal wife has been shattered by Gwen's methodical, truth-driven dismantling of the lies they tried to preserve. And let's not forget what's still to come. A forensic audit, sworn testimony, potential tax fraud investigations, a ruling on court-supervised financial distribution, the possibility of other Brown children joining the case. This story is far from over. In fact, we may only be witnessing the beginning of the Brown family's public unraveling. But amidst the fallout, there's Gwen standing strong, calm, focused, determined. She's not just seeking justice for herself, but for the siblings who felt ignored, the mothers who were sidelined, and the viewers who were misled. In the end, this isn't just about a $25,000 betrayal. It's about the cost of silence, the price of favoritism, and the strength it takes to finally say enough. Gwen Brown's explosion in court wasn't loud or chaotic. It was calculated, powerful, and impossible to ignore. And if Kody and Robyn thought the truth would stay buried, they were dead wrong. The truth is here now, and it's speaking louder than ever.